Good evening and welcome to our June 24th Basalt Town Council meeting. Before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that you can participate online if you're watching on YouTube or Grassroots. Just go to basalt.net, go to the Agenda and Minutes tab, and go to the June 24th, 2025 meeting packet, and there'll be instructions to join via Zoom there, which enables making comments and interacting with the meeting versus just watching. So with that, I will turn it over to Pam, and I'll call the meeting to order. And Pam, will you please call the roll?
Sure, yes. At 6:05, let us begin with Dieter Schindler.
Present.
Angela Anderson. Here. Rick Stevens.
Here.
Hannah Berman. Hannah was joining us online. She's online, yeah. Oh, good. Angèle Dupré-Bouchard is absent. Ryan Slack.
Here.
And David Knight.
Here.
Most of the A-team is present. Thank you.
Thank you. Hannah, don't forget to unmute if you have anything to say. We'll be watching. Next up is item 2, our consent agenda. Item 2A, minutes from June 10th, 2025. And then item 2B, resolution number 27, series of 2025, resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, approving a professional services agreement with West Mountain Regional Housing Coalition to coordinate research, planning, and communication between the town of Basalt and other local jurisdictions for the preservation of 2 mobile home parks as affordable housing. And then item 2C, which is the Aspen Valley Marathon Special Event Activity Permit. If anybody would like to pull any of these off, speak up. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
I'd like about 5 minutes on 2B.
Okay, so we can pull that one off.
Yeah, if you're on, or take
Let's
5
do the
minutes.
consent first and then,
Mayor, I approve the consent agenda items of 2A and 2C, and we'll refer 2B to a quick conversation.
there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right, item 2B, resolution 27. Rick?
Right, so I talked to Doug a little bit just about this to kind of understand. I talked to Doug a little
Oh,
bit
yeah,
about
sure. Tilt it down.
trying to understand the DOLA arrangement with our contributing $15,000 that gets us from $60,000 that was an addendum to the DOLA grant. I guess if you can jump in here anytime I go sideways. And then the town is going to throw in 15 to get to the 75,000, which goes to this effort to make sure that the process is facilitated to purchase these homes. And just as a sideline to that, it's pretty complicated, this process that they're in with the partner that's the broker, so to speak, and the partner that's a capital opportunity, and then the state, which is kind of not yet kicking in, and then Garfield County, I guess, which needs to step up. So my question was for Doug, and then he answered it, Michelle, was that this is to manage those relationships a little bit better so that we're all in the loop on what's going on, because it's moving like a high-speed train, right? And as an aside, Light and I are looking at a couple of other paths as well. So I just wanted to make sure that the community knew on this one what the arrangement was with the town and because it just appeared as a $75,000 number, and I wanted to know a little bit more about it. So it's a good commitment again from the town. It makes a statement about how important this is. That's it. I just wanted to see if anybody else had any questions. Yeah, Jeff.
I mean, there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes work going on, and West Mountain Regional, in particular, April, Mom, has really been organizing all the local governments and having weekly or bi-weekly conference calls and hoping to kind of get as much information and spread it amongst those MPs that are all working together, and as we've now seen are stepping forward with these grant contributions. And so April and West Mountain have also been interacting with Thistle. And Thistle is the coordinator for the resident-owned community lender. And so there's a lot of facilitation going on, and there will be continue to be more now that it looks like the residents will be in a position to present an offer to the owner, and then as the local governments work towards, well, in exchange for these grant funds, what does a deed restriction look like, things of that nature. And so it's my understanding that's really what this grant is going towards, is that this money's going towards, is to help for all that work that has gone into and will continue to go into this process.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think they're at 11.5 million, and then there's trying to get to 15, and 5 from the state and so on. But, and I also understand there's a new frequently asked questions bulletin maybe coming out. It'll help people understand the direction this is going and how important it is, and get it out to the community on a really big platform. So I think it's great. But that's just piqued my curiosity, that's all. So thanks.
It's going to move fast. I mean, I think the offer might have been made yesterday or might have been made today. There'll be a lot of discussions about what the deed restrictions are going to be, and we'll bring back, likely in August, or no, July rather, ordinance approving supplemental appropriation funds so that we can honor our commitment. And by then, we'll have some language on what the deed restriction looks like.
Who would come with the deed? That was a question I've received from some people, is where does the deed restriction come from? Would it be Eagle County then? Because
Well, I think it's going to be a collaborative, because,
of all everyone that's in but under,
I think it's up for discussion.
okay.
Because there's so many contributing parties, it's who should the deed restriction run to the benefit of? And so I've started looking at the form of a deed restriction, but it gets a little wonkier when there's multiple parties that might have the right to enforce it.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be some more conversation on that piece.
Okay. And there's time to get there through this, but I just want to make sure people understand. A lot of people in the community have come to me and said, well, hey, yes, we want to support this, but how does this, what are we really supporting? And so I think Rick's point and your point is great. So thank you.
And there is an RFP out, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, from West Mountain for a fundraising effort that is something that the community can participate in. So that's kind of the next level.
Yeah, I think there's a meeting tonight with a person connected with a few people that is putting together media stuff and other things. So I've just been staying in touch with Jim Lane on it. It's pretty interesting how much excitement's generated around this opportunity to get it done. So to your point, Ryan, there will be a way for our local community to contribute, and we're trying to figure that out. Anyway, thanks. I'll make a motion to approve 2B,
So moved.
27, series of 25.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Next up, we have our item 3, which is call to the public. And just some ground rules. Make sure you limit your comments to 3 minutes and address your comments directly to me. Identify yourself by name and address when making comments. Please be civil, courteous, and constructive, and we will make no decision nor take action except to direct the interim town manager. And one more ground rule, we do have a public hearing on, coming up later, so about natural medicine. So if your comments are about that, I suggest waiting until that public hearing so you can be on the record for that agenda item. And with that, I will open up the call to the public for anyone who would like to come up. Pete, come on up.
Hi, my name is Bab Penny. My name is Reed Hoy. I live on 104 Midland Avenue. I wanted to address the council for a moment, and I appreciate the opportunity, about the lights on Midland Avenue. When this last came up I think it was 2 meetings ago, there was a discussion about it. We weren't able to respond to some of the comments that were made. One of them was that it was an issue of Reed and a few of his friends. Those who know me know I don't have this many friends, but we put around a piece of paper to both of the buildings, asking people to sign if they supported the idea of changing the lights out. No one refused to sign. It's pretty much unanimous, except for the couple of people who are out of town and can't be found or contacted. We did have some of the residents who actually made a point, even though they're in North Carolina, one is limited contact, to make sure to contact us to let us know that they wanted their name on this list of people who would like to see the lights changed out to match those that are on Midland Avenue. So I wanted to simply leave this with you so that you can look it over and see that it's everyone, no one has refused to sign it. It's essentially unanimous from both of the buildings that they support this idea. And with that, I'm done.
Perfect.
Can I leave this with
We can go ahead and give it to Pam. Doug?
Thank you.
And if there are any questions, I'm around, as you know, to be able to answer them, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you for your comments. And Doug, if you would speak to kind of that status when we get to your
Sure.
report.
Sure.
And I know I'll just say that the direction from council is to look into what we can do. So Doug will have an update on that. You can just do it now. since
Yeah,
we're here.
I think, well, we've talked about this with, not with all the councils, so this will be like the follow-up from the meeting we had 2 weeks ago. So the way I was thinking about this is, a way to proceed would be to determine whether or not the HOA would be willing to participate in the cost of providing the cost of the light replacement. That would be one thing that we'd go through as far as a step. Whether that be yes or no, would, that would be, the second step would be determining what the costs are. And I think that we could do either one light, which would be in front of Cece's Cafe, or we could do 5 lights as what was suggested by Reed. I think there's certainly some subjectivity in as what aesthetic is versus safety versus what's light shining on the building. So there's been considerable amount of disagreement about that, and they haven't been able to adjudicate an answer. So what I was going to suggest we do is, if we decide to go with 5 lights, that it would be a cost of in excess of $75,000, and that we would submit a resolution to the council for them to vote on whether or not we wanted to spend that money from our contingency and/or basically general fund to replace those lights. So that would be what I suggest we do, and then people can vote yes or no, and then we'll be done. So that's what I suggest.
I have one question, because I've been noticing after this is all presented and driving around town. Did we stop replacing lights probably at just past the Iron Horse building?
You're going to hear more about that when
Okay,
Catherine does her Midland update.
okay.
You're going to hear
'Cause I
more
was
about
just
that.
wondering about those.
Right. I mean, those lights are on back order, so
Okay.
even if we were like wanting to have this happen like immediately,
Yeah,
it's
there's
it's not likely to happen until the fourth quarter of this year.
still- Okay.
So, I mean, that's the update. So, I mean, does that capture kind of what we talked about, I think, as far as what
Yeah,
the
I mean,
next steps
obviously
would
we
be?
gotta get yeah. Just want to make sure, basically, you know that this is, we've given Doug direction to look into what options are going to be, and the train is moving. We just, we're not ready to do something tonight, so.
So I should see you about next steps, or what?
Well, the next steps would be for me to coordinate some messaging to the HOA to see whether or not they would be willing to participate in the cost.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's a presentation to the board, or when you guys meet, or if that's how that's done, but we can speak about that. I see you all the time
Yeah.
out front here, so we can figure that out. Have that done, and then we're still in the process of figuring out the exact cost of this, but it's likely to be more than $75,000. And then that would be a council decision, and that's a very democratic way of doing it. So some people think we should do it, some people think maybe we shouldn't. And, I'm not on council, it's not my vote. So we'll just leave it at that.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Anyone else like to come up and speak? Don't see anyone online either, so I will go ahead and move on then to mayor and council reports and comments.
I would love to shout out the Basalt Pool. I do it every year, but it is such an amazing asset. The staffing there, A lot of great jobs for high schoolers. The manager is amazing. Matt does an awesome job. He had a Friday night open pool and the place was packed. So I think it's such a cool community effort we have, and it's just so much fun. I love the diving board too, so.
The king.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is just so awesome, and I feel like we're lucky to have it, and I'm glad as council we improved it, and I think it was all money well spent, and there's just a lot of good things going on over there, so shout out to Basalt Pool.
Thanks, Ryan. Anyone else?
Ditto.
Rick was there.
I was there.
Mayor was there too.
Yeah. Thanks to Matt and the staff for that event, and I understand there's subsequent events, so we should make sure to get those dates out so people can put them on the calendar, because it was a lot of fun. Also, thanks to the staff for a successful kickoff of the Sunday market a couple weeks ago. That's been great so far. And I did have a RAFTA meeting, so I wanted to give a couple updates on that. First off, we did get a presentation on the Mid-Valley Trails program that we had gotten a presentation on previously, and the board there at RAFTA seemed pretty supportive of it. But I still made the point there. I'm like, we need to understand, what's the scope, what's the roles and responsibilities, what kind of level effort is required. We need to make sure we have that so we can figure out what makes the most sense for us and our staff as well. So I just want to ask, do you have the latest sense from me last week on where we are with getting those details? And
Yeah, so Angela Henderson at RAFTA, who's in charge of the Mid-Valley Trails Commission, is working through a draft IGA with both to share with Eagle County as well as to share with Town of Basalt. And we're working together to kind of outline what the projects are and how that would work in a little more detailed manner. A quick example of a project that that money could go to and really help us with, because like we mentioned at that presentation, there's $500,000 and it gets added on to each year by about $120,000 to $150,000. One project that would really help move a lot is the Willets Lane Connectivity Plan. So that's an opportunity, and there are some other aspects to that. The details of how the staffing would work are things that Angela and I are going to detail out and come back to council hopefully July 22nd and give you those details.
Okay, so that's not too far off. And I know one thing I learned is that a lot of the scope of what that program should be focused on is things that are transit connected, not just trails in general. So if you could make sure we have some clarity on that. And obviously the Willets Lane is a great transit connectivity opportunity. So that would be interesting, just to kind of understand that a little better. So thanks for the update. The other topic I wanted to bring up was the Covenant Enforcement Commission, which for those of you who aren't familiar, that's like a subgroup of RAFTA that basically meets once a year at least to look at infractions on the Rio Grande Trail and their right-of-way. And we've had different people participate in the past. I think right now
It's me.
it's you.
Same
I
old.
think you're the alternate, right? And I just,
It's all good, Dieter. I've been there. No big things.
so I need to go back and tell them it again, and like just kind of re-up, because there's going to be a meeting in September. So-
Yeah, no, I'm ready for that one. Yeah,
Okay.
I was at the last one, and they went through, and basically there's like a handful of continuing problems that they're kind of addressing, and no new problems, which is great. So
Yeah.
it seems like they're staying on top of it for sure, not letting stuff slide.
Yeah, no, they've done a really good job. It's interesting. One thing that we can do if people are interested, as calendars would have it, that the dates that they're going to do a ride of the whole trail, or 2 days, they're going to cover the whole trail to look at the different areas and different infractions, just kind of get an idea of the lay of the land in person. Because of course, when we're interviewing and when there's a cast meeting also, so it's like everything happens in the same day. So they said they'd do another ride with us if we were interested. They'll have e-bikes, and so I don't know if we want to figure that out. If anybody's interested in just learning more about the Rio Grande corridor.
I mean, they have pretty good notes too, if you're
Yeah.
interested in seeing it in their last presentation, which I think was March.
Yep. So I'll let them know to reach out to you guys. The other topic I had, let me see here, get back to my notes. Last week, Doug and I met with Congressman Jeff Hurd from our district here. We covered a few topics, Shoshone water rights, wildfire mitigation, and just basically wanted to make sure he knew who we were, we met him, established a relationship, figuring out ways that we can work together in the town. So that was helpful. So he understands our affordable housing situation. I was thinking we probably should follow, since we just barely touched on that, follow up with some other reporting and some more details for Riley, one of his staff members who was there. So it was a good meeting. We did bring up the DHS list that you can't seem to find on the internet now with the sanctuary cities, and that's something that we can look into with him further if we want to explore that, and he can go to DHS if we want, but just that was a topic as well. What else? What did I miss? I know there's
Just a quick add-on.
Yeah.
It sounds like the Colorado Attorney General's office is taking up that mantle on behalf of all the Colorado counties and towns that were on that list. We'll hopefully have some more information as well.
Okay, good. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there is a resolution from 2017, and that's what they thought that
Yeah.
was doing it, but that resolution, I could argue just as easily, and I'm sure you could as well, that doesn't do that either. And yeah, so it's a little crazy, and there's some things that are, they just are the way they are. So I appreciate that update from the Attorney General. So that's
I
that.
think that was it. Yeah, we pressed him a little bit on it, because we said,
Yeah.
it's not a defined term, and it just came out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
he said to himself, he was actually meeting with some commissioners that were affected by this as well, and he didn't even know it was coming out.
In the
So he
meeting.
was a little bit blindsided.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate some of the things are coming out that way, but it is what it is.
Yeah. We did bring up public lands, and, he did support in committee that amendment, or he voted against that amendment in committee about the public lands being sold, the Amadea Amendment, I believe it was, but, so hopefully he can support public lands further. Clean energy credits was another topic. We're like, hey, what can you do to, if there's going to be, some of those are going to be rescinded, can those have longer lead times until that happens? I think that was going on in the Senate last week. So it was good. It was a good discussion.
Yeah, I think the last thing was that the tax exempt financing that we were concerned about, that provision that would basically tax municipal bonds, that did not make it through the House bill, and which is good. But he said you're
Really
right
good
to
for us.
have it on your radar, because that might resurface some other time, some other day. So it is one of the top 10 expenditures of the Treasury, so.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, thanks for remembering that one.
Sure.
And I think that's all I've got. Anybody else? All right.
Just real quickly, Doug and I talked a little bit about the schedule for hiring. And I've been watching it as it evolves in the memos from Jenny, and it's just coming up faster than a locomotive in terms of, I think cutoff was Friday, or,
I have something in the manager's report for that.
oh, do you? Okay. Never mind. You're up, I guess.
Yeah, so with that, item 5, interim manager's report. Doug?
All right, yeah, there's a few things here this time. First of all, I'll start just with the agenda. There was a request for council just for us to having our green team chair submit a request for funding for Eagle County and Pitkin County for expansion of services, some of the areas there. And also requesting for them to fund it. So those letters are in your packet. See whether or not they were okay to send. And I think the only thing I would caution them, not caution, but comment, is that we would need, we wouldn't want to necessarily expand that service without funding, because it's going to be hard enough as a budget matter for 2026 to maintain the existing service with the grant from RAFTA going away. I mean, there'll be some relief, but and I want this to be a budget meeting, but at some point, we're going to have probably a work session or have that Basalt Connect sustains itself without a grant from RAFTA or a diminishing grant from RAFTA. Seems like 30% of the stops are to and from the bus stops. So that seems like that's something that the RAFTA would be willing to pay for, but, you know, they haven't committed to it yet either because of it's a budget thing. So I can talk with Paul Hamilton, he's the Director of Finance for RAFTA, and we can figure that out. But, so anyway, the question is, of council, is it okay to submit these letters or have the green team submit the letters that were in your packet? So that was like,
Oh, yeah, the letters in the packet.
right, so just a nod from you
Let's
guys?
just do a quick motion, just in case
Okay.
somebody asks, is there council authority for this?
Okay, do I make that motion, or?
If, somebody could make a motion to approve the letters, the request for fund letters in the packet.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and
Does
seconded.
it carry more weight if it comes from mayor?
Pardon me?
Is it going to carry a little more weight if it comes from council in a motion or
Yes.
signature?
Yeah, I can sign it, that's fine.
We can change the signatory to
Yeah.
mayor.
Yeah,
All right,
is that okay? That would be an amendment, I guess, to the motion.
good with, you good with me signing it?
I'm great with you signing it.
All right,
I will add that amendment to my motion for having the mayor's signature on the letters to RAFTA.
or to Eagle County and Pickens County.
Or, sorry, Eagle County and Pickens County
Right.
for funding for the RAFTA.
Brand new second.
Second. It's not an amended second, it's a brand new second. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Hannah.
Okay, just a few other updates. You wanted me to update council, David, on parking. So there has been, since the start of enforcement, there's been 74 tickets issued. There's parkbasalt.com. You can go, people who are being issued tickets can protest them or appeal. And just by appealing, you get 50% off. And where that's been customary practice for first-time offenders.
If you unsuccessfully appeal, right?
If you don't, you get a full abatement, you get at least 50%, and that's for first time. So that's what we've done, we haven't deviated from that. There's been some comments from citizens that our signs are not in compliance with what they should be. We don't believe that's accurate, and we believe that we have been compliant with what we've been doing. So anyway, this is kind of an update on the parking. The town manager update. There have been 66 applicants, closed Friday. They are ranked Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 2, Tier 3 from KRW. You'll be receiving an email from Jenny or I tomorrow ranking the candidates. They are ahead of schedule. They were supposed to have this out by Friday, but you're going to have it tomorrow. July 8th would be the executive session that you should be prepared to come to the executive session with what your selections are for the semifinalists. They recommend 8, but they can accommodate 10. So from that, if you're not going to be present at the July 8th executive session, you give your selections to David in advance of that meeting. So that's the update on that, okay? So we're moving along. Also, just all kinds of topics here. The mayor and I spoke with Bill Ray at WR Communications, and I can actually sign this proposal because it's under the signing limit, but we had talked about engaging them with community outreach support services to support a potential 2025 ballot initiative to increase the lodging tax on rental, short-term rentals. So it would also apply to our hotels. So the idea there would be raising money for affordable housing. We talked about this at the council retreat, being a priority. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that we're going to be doing this. This is going to be on a short leash too, because the campaign would kick off. We'd probably have an executive session or a work session next session, or certainly last week in session in July. We'd have to do another ordinance 2 readings of that, and the actual drop dead date on the ballot language, getting something in queue would be September 5th. So, and we have to have a certain amount of time go by between the last ordinance and September 5th. So this is going to be on a short train. So I'll just let you know that we're going to pull the trigger on that. And if there's any concern about that, to speak now before we.
Let me just add one thing.
Yeah.
That July 5th deadline we talked about too, just to clarify before, is just, no, sorry, not July 5th. You probably know the exact, no.
September.
July, whatever it is, that the July deadline for the clerks is simply to send a letter saying that you may be submitting a ballot initiative. Is that correct?
We've got to provide notice of intent to participate in the election, but then we have to start with that, get authority to enter into IGA with the county to conduct the election and be responsible for our share of the costs of the election. So there is some actual work
Before July.
that will result from that between then and the final setting of the ballot language. But, we'll be sure to, if the council wants to move forward with pursuing a lodging tax ballot question, checking all those boxes to make sure we can participate in the election, and then it'll ultimately be that September decision as to whether or not to submit the ballot question.
Okay. So we're not as pressed though as we thought at the retreat.
Right. We need to get all our ducks in a row to participate, but deciding on the language, you're not as pressed.
Rick, what were you gonna?
Yeah, I wasn't certain that we were going to go ahead with the fall election, but what you're describing is something flexible that I assume if it was pushed would be valid in the spring. The ballot language and all that stuff. Or is this,
Tabor question, so it's a
Do or die.
tax question, it's subject to Tabor, and Tabor questions can only
Right.
be at certain elections, so basically fall elections, coordinated elections, or your regular municipal election, but typically you have them at your, it would be in the fall election.
but
you
it can
could
be in a
do it.
regular municipal election?
This lower
Is that our
turnout.
next?
Yeah.
Council members up next year.
Okay.
3 council members next
The
year.
cost will be greatly increased.
Right.
The cost would be on us, yeah.
The recommendation from Bill was to do it in November. That was his recommendation.
There's better participation. The turnout's a lot higher, believe it or not, and the cost is a lot lower for the town. So I didn't know that. It was
So we'll do,
interesting.
we'll do a work session, I think design workshop, and EPS is going to have some material for all of us to react to, and then come up with our talking points and get the campaign, be what it will be.
Yeah. So we'll get that data and then we'll be able to weigh in on that.
So we're moving forward, there's a headline, right? All right, and then just a few other things, so sorry to keep the clock going here. Stotts Mill townhouse is nearing, townhouse duplex rather, is nearing completion. Occupancy permit should be issued probably first week or so in July. Been working with Michelle and Catherine on that project. We're also looking to bring to the next meeting a contract amendment for R.A. Nelson for the construction of the second duplex on the remaining 2 lots over at Stotts Mill. So we're moving forward with that. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. And then I was contacted by Ryan Jarvis today, our water rights attorney. He was asking the town and us to be joined with the Chicago River Conservation District in what's called the party status. There's been some opposition to the Shoshone water rights from the Front Range communities. So the idea was to have town of Basalt join in with the consortium of supporters for the Shoshone water rights acquisition. So it's sort of like we'd be participatory in responding to whatever counterpoints that come up during the acquisition of these rights. So his recommendation was to do it. It's not a one-way door. We decide later not to participate, we can opt out. There's no real cost associated with this. He's going to fill out the application for us, other than his fee, putting the application together. I'm just this is something that he recommended doing, so I'm just giving you a heads up. Some of this stuff's moving fast, so I have to kind of like bring to the forefront when I have you
Would you
guys.
bring back some kind of resolution or something for us to memorialize?
Would we need a resolution for that? Party
I'm not
status?
super clear on what the effort is, but if it's just authority from the town for Ryan to spend attorney time on behalf of the town, being involved in the next steps on Shoshone
Right.
implementation. I think, I don't think we need a motion for that. I think that's just direction from you, Doug, as long as council is not opposed to the effort. You know, we've approved the grant funds, or approved a contribution towards the purchase of those Shoshone water rights. And so unless there's some formal agreement, I think,
I could let you look at the application,
sure,
see if there's anything that we need to get. We could bring it back on the 8th, too.
sure.
But I told him I'd get him an answer, since it seemed like time was of the essence, and I just learned about it today. So, anyway. And then wrapping up some public service announcements here. Bike to Work is next Wednesday, or actually, not, it's tomorrow. Oh, my goodness. From 8 to 5:30. So there's information on, I guess this is what, on our site, right? And then I also was asked to, and I'll pass this out, this is, Eagle County is promoting a guide for the future of aging of Eagle County. They're going to have a presentation over at the library August 7th from 4:30 to 6:30. So they're just creating some awareness, a little QCR code here for you to participate in something like that. There's awareness of what's going on here in town. And then last but not least, we did make our second deposit on the Midland condos yesterday. So we're now 25% in as far as the deposit on those units. Just to remind everybody, that's 6 units. Total purchase price was $2,380,000. Mainly Category 1 homes, although there is a 1-bedroom that's Category 3. And that I was updating our schedule when we approved the contract, when the council approved the contract. About 70% of the purchase price was secured by restricted funds with affordable housing funds. We're up to about 80% right now. So we've got 80% of the purchase price squirreled away. And we still have the whole year to go to add on with some of the REITs. So I think we're in good shape for actually paying that off and maybe not even incurring any debt at all. So anyway, that's it.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you. All right, next up, we have our presentations. So item 6A is an art-based update with Annie Henninger.
Just give me a second here. Okay. Great, here we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Annie Henninger. I'm the executive director at the Art Base here in Basalt. And this is my colleague, Catherine Johnson. Catherine is our bookkeeper and so much more. So I want to say thank you to the town council and the town of Basalt for your generosity and support. We couldn't do what we do without you, and we're very grateful. And if there's only one thing that you remember tonight after the presentation, it's that we are your partner in community vitality and quality of life here in Basalt. For those of you who don't know about the Art Base, we have been serving our community for 29 years with art education and creative expression for all ages and abilities. In 2024, we reached approximately 10,000 community members and over 600 local youth through our classes and workshops, community events, opening receptions, exhibitions, and mentorship programs. We are one of 2 anchoring arts organizations in the Mid-Valley. We're the only one that's dedicated to visual arts. We're the only one that offers free after-school programming during the academic year. And we're the only one that is in walking distance to our public schools. We also engage in rich partnerships with local organizations such as the Town of Basalt, Eagle County Senior Services, English in Action, the public schools, Focus Kids, and the Basalt Library, and Cook Inclusive. We also boast 3 free mentorship programs for teens. And these are in partnership with our local high school, but other high school students are welcome to participate. And all of these mentorships end in a public exhibition at the art base. We also have 2 bilingual staff, and we are happy to provide instruction in Spanish and practice language justice at the art base. So I wanted to highlight one of our programs, which is called Home un Ugar, and this happens every year in the fall, and the exhibition opens on the night of the Basalt tree lighting, which is very, very special. This is an opportunity for our local newcomers attending Basalt High School to process their journeys, express themselves, become part of our community, and it really opens a lot of possibilities for them, including careers in the arts. So I'd like to share just a very short video clip with you. It's actually 10 minutes long, and if you'd like to watch the whole thing, I'm happy to share, but I'm going to share just about 2 minutes. Watch me go here. Uh-oh.
You got this.
I've got this. This is intimidating. I'm telling you.
That's the way it is.
Okay,
Always
here we go.
happens.
Thank you for your patience. Sure. Okay.
It's called Home, un Hogar, and it's basically highlight the experiences of the newly immigrant kids, especially adolescents, coming into a new country and their experiences, and expressing those emotions and journeys through art.
And it goes on to interview
Maybe
each one of the students who participated in the exhibition. Happy to share it with you. Back to this. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, good. Technology.
Oh my gosh, you'd think I would have figured it out during COVID, but I'm still nervous about it. Okay, there we go. Okay. And lastly, I wanted to show you a few slides from an artist in residence that we had, an artist in residency that we had this past year with the Denver-based artist Tony Ortega, who had an exhibition at the Art Base, but also stayed for a weekend and did a workshop with our local youth, also a bilingual workshop. Last year alone, we were able to deliver approximately $100,000 in free programs and scholarships. Access is at the heart of what we do. And Town of Basalt, you are contributing to our ability to take care of all of our community members. So thank you so much. So, as you probably already know, but I'd love to share, I'd like to share a little bit about economic and cultural impact with you. As you know, arts significantly contribute to the economic vitality, and attendees at nonprofit arts events typically spend $26.40 more on top of their ticket to the event, boosting local business and economy. Let's say at a restaurant, or purchasing a T-shirt or something like that. The arts also drive resilience and recovery, which was seen post-COVID. So our art-centered communities, especially in rural areas, really bounce back quicker after the economic upset. Lastly, this is one of my favorites. Research consistently shows that adults like you, who are civically engaged and giving back, most likely participated in some sort of arts programming in their youth. It really makes a difference. Oh, stay on 8. Yep, thank you. So I wanted to share a little bit more about our vision and sustainability for the future. Currently we are in the quiet phase of a capital campaign to secure our building on Midland Avenue before our interest rates rise in November. This is really critical for our long-term sustainability, long-term stability, and creating a long-lasting community art hub for future generations. We're also planning a 30th anniversary celebration in 2026. We would like to align with the town celebrations as well, and I invite deeper partnerships with you. There's so much we can do to connect and strengthen the community together through art. I really lean on an organization in Colorado Springs called Concrete Couch that is under the direction and vision of Steve Wood, and the possibilities are endless. So I'd love to continue the conversation. We are very grateful, I will always say, for your support. And funding from the town of Basalt has declined over time, and this is a little graph that we have. So we are here today to create more awareness about our impact and programs, and also the town's support over time. Lastly, now is the time for the art base to become a permanent hub for arts and culture in our community. And I ask you, as you envision the future of Basalt, please keep us in mind as partners in building a stronger, more vibrant community. I welcome any conversation, we all do, about our initiatives and how we can collaborate, because I believe we are better together. And then lastly, here's how to reach myself and Catherine. I'd also like to invite you to visit the art base and see for yourself, feel the heart that you are creating in Basalt, that you have helped create in Basalt. We have an opening reception for the artist Jude Barton this Friday from 5 to 7. I hope you'll join us for the opening. Also, please use our light-filled space for a third space. If you need to do some creative brainstorming or you want to break from this building, please come over to our building. It's gorgeous, especially in the morning, and it's just a nice place to talk and have a meeting. Our 10 by 10 silent auction opens on August 1st. This includes a little over 150 panels made by local artists, and anyone can participate in the silent auction. It's easy to sign up. online. And then lastly, we have our annual party on August 16th. I invite you to purchase a ticket and celebrate with us. It always happens right here in Lions Park. Again, we're grateful for the space, and I hope to see you there. So thank you so much for giving us the time tonight, and please, I'd love to continue the conversation.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just want to say thank you for everything that you do to make art accessible, especially, to the kids. And it's so nice to see them walking across the street on Midland to go to the art base after school. And it's just a really great opportunity, for the kids in the valley and for everybody. And I didn't know before your presentation how much you do to spotlight, voices of people who have immigrated here. And I personally appreciate that. To spotlight the diversity in Basalt is so wonderful. So just thank you so much, and I will get my ticket to the party.
Great.
I almost forgot.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So much fun last year.
Oh, thank you. One thing I didn't say is that we learn so much through these programs too. The teams have so much to tell us. So do the kids, all the artists really. But home is a wonderful opportunity to learn from these newcomers about their journey and be inspired. So.
Well, I'd like to say thanks. My son came up through the art base at the very beginning, and he's had exhibitions in Japan and Hamptons and sold art all over the place. So,
Wow.
thanks.
You're welcome.
And he's exhibited here too. So.
I can't not speak to that because my daughter's now in Pratt, one of the top 3 art schools in the country, and she made these at the art base when she was 6. And has
There you
come
go.
up through every stage. The art base, long before I ever worked there, was really her second home, and it was inspirational to her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
you coming
Thank
and
you for
sharing all that
having
info with us. All right, next up, we have item 6B, which is the Midland Streetscape update. Catherine and Joe.
All right.
Hey guys, I'll do a quick sound check. Can you hear me all right in there?
Hey, can you speak up a little bit, Joe? You're a little bit loud here.
Oh, I mumble. I'm sorry. I will speak up. Is that better?
All right, I'll let Joe take it away.
Cool. All right, guys. It's kind of a timely presentation talking about light additions. So, big picture update. Obviously, I gave this to Catherine a week ago to submit, but punch list work and planting replacement is in progress. So, as you guys know, we did a lot of the planting last fall. We had Connect One do all of the mortality assessment. All the planting replacement is in progress, and there's a very, very limited amount of punch list left, and I detailed most of that. So stair nosing, signage work. Big thing I guess to talk about this week is the lights. Thing that's been on the agenda many times over the last year. And I don't know if you guys read the report, but I'll just summarize it. So we did the install when the lights came. Got them all up, trued them, set them, started plowing them with the conductors and irrigation, and we observed there was a lot of manufacturing defects in the poles. So we collectively, Catherine, myself, and the design team issued a letter of rejection that detailed all of the issues we identified after we planted the poles. So after the meeting, we got good feedback from AV Poles, who is the manufacturer, and they are going to replace them because of the defects we identified. But that process, timing, and all of the logistics is still underway. So we're working on it, we're getting good traction, but that is still a work in progress. I can pause there if there's any questions about that process before we keep going, guys. Just let me know.
Do we have to return the defected poles?
Yes, it'll be at no cost to the town because we received products that were substandard from what we expected. And I think for the longevity of the town, you know, our team is making the right decision to make sure we have the product that is of the quality that was expected, the quality that was to be engineered. And so we'll have the ones that are in place through the summer season, let everyone enjoy some peace and quiet through the summer, and then sometime later this fall, there'll be an effort to do an exchange of the lights, of the poles, and we'll get those switched out to make sure we have the right product for the long term for our town.
What kind of defects did we observe?
There are a number of things from the structural stability of the pole itself. It wasn't as deep as we expected. There was some scaling issues around the painting of the steel pole themselves, some issues around the welding issue. There are numerous issues, but the one of most concern was the structural integrity of the poles themselves and their ability, knowing that we're putting up catenary lights to withstand the snow and wind loading that will occur. We wouldn't obviously want them to fall down or bend at some point. So that was the one that was of most concern, but there are a number of other issues, and we've been in pretty consistent communication, you know, had Jeff weigh in and review some of those letters we've been sending back and forth with the fabricator, and we just want to make sure we have the right product at the end of the day and not make any short-sighted decisions. So.
Is there any opportunity maybe with this spur situation to get some pricing concessions if we're going to, you know, for all the trouble this is causing us? We've got another set of back orders, all that. I mean, just to kind of get a little more out of the vendor if we're going to have to end up ordering more lights potentially.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, to this point, we've been prioritizing the scope, you know, as initially intended, knowing that we're potentially moving forward with additional poles. We can have that conversation with them, yeah.
And I would also add, if these structural defects aren't, if we're not obviously not hanging lights out here across, so that tension and that extra stability, if there is some concession, because they would have to truck the lights back, or even the dump fee, or they obviously work, they're standing, they work, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's
I mean,
any.
the electrical system is separate from the pole
Yeah.
structure and itself, but I think there are enough issues outside of that we should start anew and make sure we have a high-quality product for the longevity of the town.
And then that brings up my question from before of the lights past the Iron Horse building.
Yes.
Are those on order still?
Yes.
Or are they?
Once we started to identify all these deficiencies, we weren't going to waste time putting up more deficient poles. So at the end of the day, we will have new poles from the four-way intersection to the intersection with Homestead, but we're trying to be efficient with everyone's time. And since those older poles are working and were in place, we made the decision not to kind of continue with the effort, knowing that they were going to get replaced.
And then the one last question, could you use the older lights that we still haven't replaced here? And then they were still semi-fit, they're in that same motif. Just an idea.
That is
look at
something
that.
we can explore. There isn't a consistent lighting through town, so.
There's no we have to give up on this talking point, because every street has a different light. We've sent that too far. And so Rhinos has a different light than the new development over here, then over here, then over there. So we're not going to replace every light in town to get on the sequence, but I think we're headed in the right direction.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys, before we scroll down?
No, I'm good.
So budget, guys, are obviously very, very close to the finish line. I think the only thing that's worth mentioning in here is we do have plenty of contingency reserved even after the paving and hardscapes and East Midland. The other thing worth mentioning is that we are and have reserved all payment for the poles until we resolve the defective pole issue. So we have not incurred any costs for the defective product. Milestone schedule, obviously phase 1 Phase 2, water line complete. Phase 2 surface improvements. We're at the punch list and negotiating this obstacle phase. But I'm confident we'll come up with a good resolution, guys.
What phase was that? The obstacle phase? Is that what he said?
We can refer to it as the obstacle phase moving forward.
Optical or obstacle?
I'll let you.
What's the word? I didn't get that
I
last.
think you're saying obstacle, just like the going through the
Obstacle,
process.
just the light pole. Sorry, guys, I
Okay.
apologize. You can't.
I thought there was
Just
more
a reminder.
obstacles.
Yeah.
No, hopefully not.
All right. And for the pictures, progress update this month, all I really did was celebrate landscape. Like I said, we planted almost everything last fall, and there are some replacements, but it's looking really good out there. The other update from the previous month, obviously we were having difficulties with people parking in the loading zone. So the loading zone is now obviously identified. And the last time I was there, it looked like we were having success with the appropriate markings.
You are. I drive
Alright.
through all the time, so.
Awesome. Yeah, this is just looking down the street.
Hey, one quick question on in those pylons, and I think it's obviously by design. It seems like a lot of those plants are struggling, but they're also based in sand.
Yeah, so that's actually a special material that is mostly sand that was designed specifically to create some filtration for the stormwater as it moves through those rain gardens and goes into our infrastructure. We do have the team designing some kind of infographics that will explain that to people, but that is intentional. Some of those plants, once they grow up and start maturing a little bit more, those are the last ones to be planted, so they're a little small, so it's going to look a little bit sparse probably through this summer, but once those, like I said, grow up and get a little more robust with their age, I think it'll look a lot better, but that's an intentional soil that's used in those areas. And we're working with Public Works on keeping an eye on making sure those systems are working correctly and kind of have an eye to make sure they're functioning well.
Thanks, Catherine. You said that much more gracefully than I would have, but yes, rain screen, stormwater management. And yeah, I think it will look really good when the plants develop. More landscape, so this is in front of CCY. Yeah, got the furnishings, everything coming off really well. And I could give you a verbal description in every picture, but you guys live there and you know what you're looking at. So this is right at the spur. I just think it's looking really handsome. And I guess that's all I have. We already talked about the extension of the lights, what's on hold. Catherine, was there anything else you wanted to talk about in the report?
No, I guess I just add on one fun thing, adding on to what the art base was saying. In the coming weeks, we are going to be accepting an art piece that will sit right in front of the art base. We're going to create a little crusher fine pad similar to the art piece we have over on the spur, and that's a piece that we've been working with the art base on. It'll be really exciting to start incorporating some of the arts back into the street, along with all the other improvements we have out there. So that'll be good.
Nice. Well, thank you for the update. Anybody have any questions or comments or anything? All right.
Great, thanks.
Both.
All right, thank you, Council.
Next up, we have item 6C, which is the Basalt Sanitation District Frying Pan River Sewer Crossing Replacement. Justin, Ian, and Maggie.
Good evening.
Hi, everyone.
Mayor, Council, just want to do quick introductions here. Ian Quillen is the district manager for Basalt Sanitation District, And we got Maggie McHugh here with Roaring Fork Engineering, the design engineer on an upcoming project later this summer near the frying pan. So I'll let them take it away from here.
Thank you, Justin. Hey, and good evening to council. I am Ian Quillen. If I don't believe I've really met any of you except Rick over there. So, and everyone else, hi, good to see you. So we're here to give council a heads up on a big project that we're doing. Just to orient you, it's going to be starting at Midland Avenue and Two Rivers, replacing the sewer running uphill towards the Frying Pan River. The linchpin of this project is the Frying Pan River crossing. And if you want to go to the next slide, James, thank you very much. So it's ultimately 643 feet of linear sewer replacement. It's that highlighted section there from our 1970 design drawing. This is one of the original sections of sewer that was installed to serve downtown Basalt. So it's quite aged. It's significantly older than I am. So we've been planning on replacing this now for about 4 years. We're finally up to that 100% ready to go, just securing final funding for this project. It's really going to help improve our sewer system because the sewer there is all clay lines. They're 6-foot sections. They are receiving a significant amount of inflow and infiltration from the groundwater as well as the river water that's flowing under the river. So it's really going to help us improve our treatment at the plant because currently we're treating a lot of groundwater that as it comes down from Ruda, as it comes down the valley, the groundwater spreads out. It follows the trench of the sewer line basically all the way to the plant that's down off Emma Road. So we are experiencing a significant amount of groundwater treatment that we do have to pay to treat. So we're expecting a marked reduction in inflow and infiltration at the plant, some reduced utilities costs in terms of equipment maintenance, repair costs, and also electric, of course, because that's how everything runs at our plant. The current construction cost is estimated at $1.375 million with some design permitting and contingency in there. James, if you go to the next one. Just a quick kind of clip from how we're planning to do the river crossing is we're planning to do, the project is expected to start in late September, early October. We're going to be starting at Midland Avenue and Two Rivers, moving uphill towards the school, towards the river, doing the Frying Pan River crossing, what we're expecting in the dead of winter when flows are the lowest on the Frying Pan River, so that would be January or February. We've been in contact with all of, Picken County, the Roaring Fork Conservancy, Eagle County. We've talked to the Bureau of Reclamation about flows coming out of Rudai in the winter. Our design is essentially what you see there is we're going to cut the river in half using a section of cofferdams. We're going to come from this side of the river first, do half the crossing, and then essentially flip that plan over and then move on to the other half of the river on the east side on where the River Bridge condos are. We're hopeful that we can, the contractor we've been talking with, which is Stutzman Jurbaz, they think that they can do the whole river work in, I believe, 3 or 4 weeks is what they said. So a fairly minimal time to be in and out of the river as quickly as possible for that work. And then from the River Bridge condos up to the Cottonwood Drive there's about another 150 feet that we have sewer running through the backyard of those condos. That 150 feet is going to be cured in place, or what is more commonly known as slip lining the sewer. So we have a manhole there in Cottonwood Drive right outside of the fence at the school. So from that manhole through their backyards, we're going to be slip lining. We don't really want to rip up their backyard and all of those trees, so we're trying to be as minimal as possible through that section. This is a big project for us just because it is such an old pipe. Obviously, it's a very sensitive area coming through the Frying Pan River there. So we have Roaring Fork Engineering is our contract engineer. We've also subcontracted with an environmental engineer to make sure that all of the, if there's any sensitive species in that area, any other of the environmental permitting work that needs to be required. We are engaged with the Army Corps of Engineers. We expect that permit to be issued here in the next 4 weeks. They did not bring up any concerns with our initial application because we love Roaring Fork Engineering. The environmental contractor is very thorough, so we're hopeful to get that permit here issued quickly. We are going out to bid we're hopeful in July. We just applied for a DOLA EIF grant, Tier 2. We presented in Grand Junction last week. That's a very competitive cycle, so we're hopeful we're going to get some funds to help defray the cost of that project. But ultimately, we are going to go forward with it, whether or not DOLA helps us. So, yeah, it's a big project for us. It's a legacy line. I think we're all aware of the disruptions that we've had in the downtown area. The town has been a great partner during the streetscape project. We were able to get another 400 feet of sewer replaced. Basalt Center Circle has been a cost-sharing partner with us to get some sewer replaced over there. This is the last section of old sewer in downtown Basalt, and I think we've all heard the once-in-a-generation line a lot over the last 3 years. This is really our last once-in-a-generation project in downtown Basalt. Everything's going to be up to modern standards and should last another 60 to 75 years, hopefully. Yeah, that's my main points. If Maggie has anything.
The only thing I wanted to add, Ian talked about the amount of infiltration and inflow we have at the plant. We did a pretty comprehensive year-long study to identify where that was coming from, and that helped us pinpoint the crossing at the frying pan. Once this is fixed, we're estimating that it'll open up almost 235 single-family home equivalents at the plant. So just as we continue to grow and have people move, have denser housing come into the area, it just helps us increase our capacity at the plant. It's not wasted by being treating groundwater. So just wanted to add that point.
And if, James, you want to go back a couple of slides. So that's just, that's kind of a full look. The top picture there is the old as-built from 1970 when it went in, and the shot underneath that is our new plan that Maggie and the team at Roaring Fork, and also Tyler, so thank you to Tyler there. He was a big part of this project, just showing all of the utilities that are there. Our plan is actually right now our sewer runs essentially in the green space between Basalt Center Circle and the road. Pretty much every other utility is running in that space, so it's pretty crowded as well. Our plan is once we get out of the river, and as actually you start on the low end, you work towards the high end, but as we're going to move our sewer out of the median or the grassy area there and actually have it be in the parking spaces along Two Rivers Road and running up out of the where all the other utilities are in that grassy area. So it should help the town with some water line separation. It'll help Holy Cross with some of the electric separation there. And honestly, modern sewer design should always be in the road. I think over the years, the road has kind of shifted, which is how our sewer ended up in the grassy area between the parking lot of Basalt Center Circle and Two Rivers Road there. So yeah, we're trying to push it out of the utilities into the right-of-way where it's easier for our maintenance and easier for everyone else's utilities as well. Yeah, that's the main gist of it. Is there any other questions from council?
Right. I would just encourage, and I'm sure you're already in touch with them, but obviously, especially if you're working in September, school drop off, Cottonwood's already a nightmare. Yep. So I don't know if there's any weekend work or any, I know you're slip lining some of that, but yeah, I know that. We're trying to keep out of, our goal is always to keep one lane of traffic open, of course, through the entire project. Yeah, of course, with, school drop offs and pickups in the mornings and afternoons, that'll require some more coordination with Basalt Police, the town, and the schools as well. But yeah, obviously we're doing our best to make sure that that is not backed up more than it normally is. Yeah. I would just, Grant's done amazing work on trying to keep Cottonwood clear. So I would let's just make sure we work with him to not give him
the slip lining. The slip lining work's going to probably be more like January, February. So January, February 2026. Okay. Yep.
But that's more on the condo side, on the other side of the river.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, there's only a couple groups that can really do this, so.
Yes.
I know you guys will be very careful about who you select because haven't done multiple river crossings. And I don't know if you're planning any night work, anything like that in the event that you have.
Since we haven't awarded a contract yet, we're still kind of, ironing those details out. Obviously being aware of the town's restrictions on construction noise, lights, all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Because flows obviously are less for those critical points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And protecting our gold medal waters. I mean, that's really the big part of this project is that the sewer in the road is just a easy, I won't say easy, but standard sewer replacement with modern materials. It is the river crossing there, that 120 feet, that's really the linchpin of this project and making sure we protect that resource. Yeah.
Cool.
Are there any flow requirements or anything that, the reason I bring that up is because if there's, say, anchor ice or something in the winter, sometimes there's extra flows that
Yep.
go because of that. I mean, what kind of coordination occurs there, and how low does the flow have to be for you guys to do the work?
We've been planning, and Roaring Fork Engineering's been planning actually maximum stream flow for that time of the year. We've been coordinating with the Conservancy, obviously, and hearing them about the anchor ice as well. They're, I would say, more concerned about flows and anchor ice. The Bureau of Reclamation essentially didn't have any concerns because we were just cutting half the river off. They said, well, as long as the water can go through somewhere, they said, that's fine. And they said, unless something changes, and you're planning to dam or stop the river somehow, they really had no concern. So it's really Roaring Fork Conservancy that we're coordinating with closely. Rick and one of my board members is also Pat McMahon, so he's pulling double duty there.
Yeah, no, that's important to make sure that those programs continue and everything.
Yep.
So glad you guys are coordinating that.
And I'm sure you're also coordinating with April Long at Ruwapa.
So April's kind of actually stepped back. It's actually Kathy Chandler Perry, the Eagle County Commissioner, who took her spot with the Water Quality Control Division.
Yeah, well, April still runs Ruwapa, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but she'll know all about the flows and any anchor ice releases, and so
Yeah.
she'd be great to get on your contact list.
I've been in contact with her. She
Okay.
hasn't really gotten back to me. She's kind of said, hey, I've stepped back. That's kind of how I got Kathy Chandler Perry's
Maybe I
name.
missed that email,
No.
because I know she's working on that. She's doing a lot of housing stuff too now.
Yeah, yeah. I think she's mainly switched to the Western Housing Coalition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Kathy Chandler Henry.
Thank you. Thank you. I knew I was messing that one up.
Oh, it's fun. Go watch them in the river. It's fun.
That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and we wanted to, with our conversations with Michelle, Catherine, James, and Justin, is making sure that council's aware. Obviously, with the disruption that's been going on at the streetscape, I'm sure you guys are going to hear questions. Why are we ripping up the road again? Didn't we just do this? Especially as we reach the river. I think, when we've been working with Chris Beiser, and a lot of those plants are invasive or overgrown, decadent. So as we start taking those plants down, vegetation, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this project, and especially as we get into the river, there are a lot of eyeballs on the project. Yeah.
Question for James on the ESA.
Yeah.
Are you got that in the specs for this project?
We've been talking to the Sand District about submitting an ESA application. And
Okay.
as part of that evaluation, the Roaring Fork Conservancy, of course, will be
Okay, thanks.
part of that review.
You got a communication plan as far as like the status to the community and us and all the, kind of the stakeholders.
Yeah, as a referral agency to the town, we're still ironing all those details out, making sure all of those contacts are available. Yeah.
So like during the execution of the project. Okay.
Yep. And then also, we really like Mitzi. We worked with Mitzi on the Spur project as well, so probably engaging with Mitzi a little bit to make sure that there's some more of that public engagement, that it's visible, that people know what's going on. It's not just, hey, why is the river being dug up?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you both coming in and giving us an update on that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you all.
Be interesting to see.
Yes, yeah, it's a big one. Can't wait. Thanks all.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Next, we will move to council actions. We have item 7A, which is our continued public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 8, series of 2025, an ordinance of the town of Basalt, Colorado, approving amendments to Town Code Section 16-4 definitions, Section 16-22 schedules of uses and requirements, and the addition of Section 16-192 natural medicine for the purpose of regulating the sale, manufacturing, and use of natural medicine in Basalt, Colorado. James and Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. This is a continued public hearing and second reading on an ordinance for code amendments for the purpose of regulating manufacturing and disbursement and use of natural medicine in Basalt. In terms of a bit of background, as discussed at the last couple council meetings, the Colorado voters approved Proposition 122, allowing supervised use of psychedelic mushrooms, which are also known as natural medicine in the act. As noted at the past couple meetings, it prohibits local governments from banning while allowing local governments to regulate the time, place, and manner of operations for the use of such mushrooms. At the last two meetings, the council had draft ordinance that town attorney's office and planning staff worked on that had language limiting natural medicine healing centers to medical centers in the C3 zone district. However, at the last meeting, the council directed staff to amend the draft ordinance to open it up to allow for natural medicine healing centers as special review uses in the C2 zone district, which is the Midland downtown area, as well as the C3 zone district, and to make it allow them as special review uses irrespective of whether locations are medical centers or not. And so staff has amended the ordinance that's attached as Exhibit A in your packet accordingly. And once again, the ordinance also allows for manufacturing and testing of natural medicine as a special review use in the industrial zone district. As we noted at the last meeting, we couldn't prohibit that, so it was determined by staff that the industrial zone district would be that appropriate location for manufacturing. Once again, also the ordinance has a 1,000-foot buffer from daycares and schools that natural medicine healing centers couldn't be located. So we've carried that over from the state statutes into the town code. Staff this evening would suggest taking public comment because it is a continued public hearing, providing council discussion, and if you're comfortable, you could approve the ordinance. Jeff, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think you covered it.
Thanks.
Well, this is a public hearing, so let's go ahead and do that first. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. See anyone in the room? I don't see anyone online. So I'll close the public hearing and open it up for questions or comments of fellow councilors.
Seeing none, Mayor, I move the town council adopt ordinance,
Yes.
oh.
Couple questions
Oh, I
first.
didn't know you had a question.
One question I had was just about the provider that was going to be grandfathered in. Do they have to go through the special review process, or will they just be grandfathered in like previous?
They will not have to go through a special.
Yeah, we still have the grandfathering language in there, so because they have a license before the ordinance is approved, they would be grandfathered in.
Okay, so any new C2, C3 outside the medical center
Yeah,
would be special review?
would be special review, yeah.
Thanks for that. Any other questions and comments, anything? Okay.
Mayor, I move the town council adopt ordinance number 8, series of 2025 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Pam, will you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Let's begin with Hannah Berman. Thank you, Hannah. Angela Anderson,
No.
Rick Stevens,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
Yes.
David Knight,
Yes.
and Dieter Schindler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, everyone. This concludes our meeting, so everybody have a great night. Thanks.